चल हो जा शुरू।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो पतवारा हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो पतवारा हुआ रे।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
And with that, let's put across more news break coming in. FM Sitharaman has already arrived for the GST Council meet that is all set to take place. A meet which is, of course, being spearheaded by Finance Minister, will be attended by all the state finance ministers as well. And on the top of the charts are several issues, several demands, which includes review of inverted tax duty structure, overhaul of four-tiered GST rate structure, review of 28% levy on online games, casinos and even horse racing, and bringing fuel under the GST ambit. So a lot of demands that will be taken up in this GST Council meet, which is the first one taking place since the Modi government 3.0 government formation. And as we speak, Finance Minister is speaking to the state finance ministers. So a lot of demands that will be taken up. Note that one of the primary demand is also going to be a review of inverted tax duty structure, as this is what the industry leaders say, that there is an inverted tax duty which in a way results in additional tax burden on the manufacturers. The second being overhaul of the four-tiered GST rate structure, which are the four tax slabs, 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. So some rationalization of GST tax structure is something that is also on the cards. Other demands also include review of 28% levy on online games and review of 28% GST on scooters and motorcycles as well. So a slew of demands that will be taken up in the first meet of the GST Council in 8 months after it last met in October last year. Simplifying the GST laws to make it easier for compliance and companies to get tax credits is also one of the key agendas. So simplifying the GST framework is on top of the charts. Streamlining the GST return filing process is also going to be taken up. Among other demands includes reduction in the 28% GST that is currently being levied on scooters and motorcycles. This, as there is a demand that it should be further reduced to 12 to 18%, given that these are not luxury items like cars and are used by lower income groups and in rural areas. So highest tax slab that is currently being imposed on two-wheelers, scooters and motorbikes. Manufacturers say that the GST should be further rationalized for the two-wheelers, given that this is not luxury item. Overall of the existing four-tier GST rate structure of 5%, 12%, 18% and 28% during the current financial year is also going to be taken up. So a broader reform to the indirect tax regime is going to be taken up by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman with the finance ministers of all states. The focus will also be on resolving the inverted duty structure that's plaguing sectors such as textiles, footwear and fertilizers, among others. So broader reforms to the indirect tax regime is going to be discussed in this 53rd GST Council meet. Very crucial that this meet is happening at a time with just a few days to go for the budget presentation also, which is slated for the month of July, later in the month of July. So there could be measures taken up just ahead of the budget presentation by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Among other demands that will be taken up include overhaul of the existing GST tax slab structure. Currently, note there are four tax slabs which are 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. So further rationalization of the tax regime is also on the cards. Other than that, there is also a growing demand that the 28% GST that's currently being levied on online games should be further reduced. This in the backdrop of the rise in notices being sent to online gamers for failing to comply with the GST rules, given that this is the highest tax that's being imposed for the online gamers, and also horse racing and casinos for that matter, which remains at 28%. Simplifying the GST laws to make it easier for companies to get tax credit is also on the agenda.
At this council meeting holds quite an importance because this is happening just ahead of the union budget, which is going to be presented in the second half of July. And also this is the first GST council meeting which is happening after the Prime Minister Narendra Modi third term started. So there are some key agendas that are on are going to be the part of this GST council meeting. One amongst them is a rationalization of the tax slabs. We know that there are 4 tax slabs as far as GST is concerned. That is 5, 12, 18 and 28%. So now there is a clamor for rationalizing the various tax slabs. Also, the key agenda this time is the gaming, the GST taxation on the online gamings, which was at 28% high. Earlier it was 18%, which was raised to 28%. Now there is expectation that there is some sort of a relief which can be given to the online gaming, which are taxed at 28% currently. Also, one thing that tops the agenda of the GST Council meeting this time is the rationalization of inverted tax duty structure, which is the accumulation of the tax credits that happen because of an inverted tax duty structure. That is also going to be on the agenda in this GST Council meeting. Fourth big thing that is going to be looked out, that will be the key highlight that everyone is watching out for, is the rationalization of tax slabs and also the retrospective taxation. The companies which were paying the lower taxes on the various commodities, and now there was increase in the tax, so there was expectation that there will be retrospective taxation, but there is some sort of a relief as the government is thinking to not go for the retrospective tax, rather go for a retroactive tax. So rationalization of tax slabs, rationalization of inverted tax duty structure, and also a key and focus on the online gaming. And the last point that we already talked about, that it's going to be the retroactive taxation, which is going to be the key highlight of the meeting this time.
All right, Rajat, thank you for the moments. So a host of issues that will be taken up in this GST Council meet are very significant given that this is happening after a gap of 8 months. And among the primary demands is a reduction in the GST of 28%, which is currently being levied on the online gamers.